Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Katie, and it has been a little bit of a hot minute since I've filmed, but I'm back today with a little bit of a fall TBR. It is finally starting to cool down outside a little bit. It is about mid-September now, and it's finally starting to cool down, finally starting to almost feel like fall, so I'm super excited. And so today I want to talk about some of the books that I am hoping to get through this fall. These are some that I'm prioritizing that give, specifically for me at least, some fall vibes. I am not really too much of a horror and thriller reader. Those just aren't my particular favorite genre. So the ones that I tend to enjoy during the fall are usually dark academia or heavily atmospheric fantasy. Like not really like any like too heavy like epic fantasy or anything like that, but just stuff that's very atmospheric. The world building is very pretty and things like that. And those are the types of things that I tend to lean towards in the fall. So I have a lot of books in those type of genres today that I'm going to talk about. Let me see, how many do I have? I have a big stack down here. I think I have about 10. And these are just some that I'm hoping to prioritize this fall. I may or may not get to all of them, but these are just some that are high on my priority list that I do really want to get to this fall. The first one that I'm going to talk about today is the only truly like pure dark academia book that I'm going to talk about. All the other ones that I have at least a little bit of a magical element in them. But the first one that I want to talk about is If We Were Villains by Larue. I actually got through about the first half of this one on audio like a year ago probably. And I really, really liked it. I just never got around to finishing it. So I am gonna restart it because it's been a little bit of time since I started it, but I'm really, really looking forward to this one. Also, if you see me looking over here, I have notes on my computer over here. So that's what I'm looking at. This book follows a group of theater students at a classical college, and it is heavily centered around Shakespeare. So this is a group of theater students who I believe are in their senior year in this book. I'm pretty sure they're in their senior year, and there are multiple Shakespearean productions that they are a part of that are a part of this story. And I remember really, really liking it when I started it, just for some reason never got around to finishing the audiobook. I literally hit like exactly halfway, I think, and then just never finished it. I don't know why. So I'm really excited to get back into this one. Like a lot of dark academia books, there is a murder element in this one. One of the group has been murdered, and the main character, it starts out with the main character has just been released after being in prison for about 10 years, I think. And so he's kind of telling their story and telling what happened in like his version of the story and what went down. At least I'm pretty sure that that's what it was. So I am really excited to get into this one. I love dark academia so much, and this is the only other one that I have that I haven't gotten through. That was the other thing I meant to mention, was all of these books are ones that I already own that I just haven't read yet that I really want to prioritize this fall. There are 2 in this stack that I think are from the library, but every other ones are ones that I own. And so I'm really excited to get into this one. Also, it's just so pretty. I love it. It's very pretty. I have a few others that are kind of a mix of fantasy and dark academia. They might have a school type setting, but there's also a magical element to those. And the first one of those is The Atlas 6 by Olivie Blake. I cannot believe that I haven't read this one already. I have had it on my shelf for a while, and I do not know why I haven't gotten to it yet. I have absolutely no idea. Olivie Blake is an author that in my brain, I think like, oh, I love Olivie Blake. And then I realize I've only read one of her books. I've only read Alone with You in the Ether. But I have this one, and then I have another one of hers in this stack too. And I'm like, oh yeah, I love Olivie Blake. And then I'm like, oh, I haven't actually read much by her. So these are some of my priorities. This one is definitely a heavily magic leaning dark academia type book where it follows 6 young magicians competing for a place in an Alexandrian society. I'm pretty sure it has to do with like the Library of Alexandria and stuff like that. And so there are 6 of them. They're competing for places in this society, and from what I understand, only 5 of them will make it. and one of them gets eliminated. I don't know much more other than that. I am fairly certain that this is a pretty character-heavy book. There are like, there are 6 main characters in here from what I understand, and so I am guessing that this one is going to be pretty character heavy. One thing that I love, though, that is in a lot of Olivie Blake's books is the artwork is just so pretty. So first of all, the end papers, we have like a really pretty library piece of artwork, and then throughout the book there is really nice character art going through it. So we have some there. Oh, here's one. We've got one there. And so I love that it has this artwork throughout it. I think that that is just really cool. So I'm excited to get to this one. I have no idea how I haven't read this one yet. This is the first in a series. I don't know if it's a duology or if it's longer. I almost think it's just a duology, but I could be totally wrong about that. But the second book is out. I don't own it, but it is out. So I am excited to read this one, and if I like it, then I will grab the second one and look at that. Another one that I own that I cannot believe I haven't read yet is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I am so excited to get into this one. This is the same author that wrote the Six of Crows series and Shadow and Bone and all of that, but then this is her adult series that she's writing. Again, I don't know how long this series is supposed to be. I know that there are 2 books out right now. This is the one that I have. Again, if I like it, I am excited to look into the second one. The cover to the second one is like weird. It has like a really creepy rabbit on it. But anyway, this book follows Alex, who is a student at Yale. So this book starts off with her coming to Yale, I'm pretty sure. I actually got like 10 minutes into the audiobook of this one not too long ago, and then decided that this was one that I really wanted to be able to read the physical copy of, so I stopped. But the first like 10 minutes of the audiobook or whatever, we're just kind of starting out with her like kind of just beginning at Yale and stuff like that. And somehow she ends up involved with a society who's like a student society or something, a campus society, whose job it is to keep an eye on all the other secret societies in the school and like monitor them and stuff like that. Somehow, I'm not sure how all that plays out, but that is how this works. And then I believe that she begins to find involvement with like occult magic and like forbidden magic and stuff like that. So I have no idea how this one's going to play out. It sounds really interesting though, so I am really excited to get to this one. And then the last dark academia book I have is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. This one, I believe, centers a school for magically gifted people, but it's like a school, but like there's no teachers, there's no classes, it's just everyone has to survive is kind of the thing. I guess from what I have just like reading the blurb on this book and stuff like that, and there's like monsters and like magical creatures in the school and you have to figure out how to survive those. I don't know, but it sounds interesting. The main character, Elle, I'm pretty sure is supposed to have like a super special power that could be like potentially dangerous or stuff like that. I'm pretty sure there's like rivalry in here too, which is pretty standard. So yeah, we'll see. This one is also the first book in a series, so I'm probably going to hate myself for beginning a bunch of new series, but oh well. So Deadly Education sounds interesting. I am most, for this one, I'm the most intrigued at the fact that it's like a magic school, but it's not a school, or like, it's not like traditionally like school-ish. So I'm curious to see how that one is going to play out. The rest of the books on my TBR for this fall are all fantasy books, and there's a little bit of a range of like the type of fantasy that they might be, but they're all fantasy. And the first one that I'm going to talk about is Masters of Death by Olivie Blake. So this is the other Olivie Blake one that I have in my stack of books, and I am so excited for this one. This is probably one of the ones that I'm the most excited about in this stack. So I really, really, really hope it's good. I thought that this was like a new release by her, and it's not. It was published in 2018. And so I guess that this one was maybe one that she had self-published beforehand, and then once she got bigger, it is now traditionally published, because I thought that this was a new release. But I know that that happened with the Atlas 6. I know that she self-published the Atlas 6, and then it got traditionally published later. So I'm guessing that that's probably what happened with this. But this one I am so excited for. First of all, more absolutely gorgeous character art on these end papers. I cannot get over the just gorgeous art in her books. It's amazing. So here we go. And then here's the back. It's just so pretty. It's just so pretty. I can't get over it. But this one I think is a little bit mystery focused, maybe a little bit. From just like reading the blurb on the cover and stuff, it's like a ghost gets murdered and the main character is trying to figure that out or something like that. Like, not a person is murdered and is now a ghost. Like, the ghost in a haunted house gets murdered or something like that. So that is interesting. But the characters in this one are what sound so incredible. Like, I am so excited to see how these characters are worked out. I'm going to look over here and read it a little bit. But the characters that it involves are a vampire real estate agent, the godson of death, an unruly poltergeist, a demonic personal trainer, a sharp-voiced angel, and a love-stricken reaper. I'm just like, okay, I am here for it. I am here for whatever craziness this means. I am here for it, and I am so excited for it. And the cover is just, it's so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. I cannot get over how excited I am for this book. I really hope it's good. I hope it's good because I am so excited for this one. A fantasy book that I think is going to be very atmospheric is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. This is the same author that wrote Divine Rivals that I just read last month and loved. And I've actually had this one sitting on my shelf for a while and just haven't gotten around to it. So I'm really excited to get to this one. I've actually heard from several people that they like this better than Divine Rivals. And I love Divine Rivals. It was a 4-star book for me. I really, really liked it. So I am excited to see about this one. This one, I believe, is the first in a duology. So I'm excited for this. This one centers a magical island, and the main character, Jack, has left, I think he grew up on the island and then he left 10 years ago to become a bard. But now 10 years later, girls are going missing from the island and he is called back to help find them. This one involves a lot of elemental spirits from what I understand. And the elemental spirits will listen to and heed the bard's music and stuff like that. And so that is why he is called back to help solve this mystery, solve whatever is happening on this island. I am so excited for this one. If the writing style is anything like Divine Rivals, it's going to be really, really pretty. And that is exactly the type of fantasy that I look for in the fall. Just something that's beautiful that I can just lose myself in. And so I am really excited for this one. I didn't realize until I'm actually filming this how many first books in series I have on this list. And I'm going to regret that. I'm going to regret that so hard. But another first book in a series that I have is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. This is a little bit of an older fantasy series. How old is it? I guess not old, but it's not new. When was this written? 2011. Okay, so it's a little bit older now. And I really didn't realize I had so many first books in series. Oh, I'm going to regret this. Oh, well. But this one is the first book in a trilogy. And the main character in this one, I believe at the start of the story, kind of works at a library in Oxford. She's a scholar and discovers an enchanted manuscript. And something about the discovery of this enchanted manuscript brings this whole horde of magical creatures and beings and stuff like that now come into the world, and it's a whole thing from what I understand about this one. I really don't know much about it other than it's around, and I know there's a TV show of it too. I don't know if it's any good. So somehow she unlocks this magic stuff that starts coming into the world, and there's a vampire that comes too. So it sounds like it's going to be a lot, but we'll see. I'm very curious about this one. I'm curious to get into it. Man, I have to stop. I have to stop starting new series. Oh well. Well, another first book in the series. We'll get through it, hopefully. This one I am interested in, but it's probably on the lower end of my priority as far as like this book list goes. So we will see if I get to this one. Honestly, if I start a bunch of other series, I may not start this one quite yet. So we'll see. I might get to this one this fall, but it's a little bit on the lower end of my priority list, especially given how many series I have in here. The next book I have is The London Seance Society by Sarah Penner. This one I believe is going to have a little bit of a different vibe than the other ones. This one I think leans a little bit heavier into the mystery side of things as opposed to like classic fantasy stuff. But the London Seance Society follows two women, and it's set in 19th century France. So the mid 1800s, it says 1873 on the cover. And so it's set in 19th century France, and it follows two women who are using magic to help solve a mystery. Like there's one woman, I believe, who's very involved in magic, and there's another woman who I think her sister died or something, and then she comes to the other woman to help her solve it or something. I'm not really sure, but I have heard from multiple places that this one is good and engaging and interesting. So I'm curious about this one. We'll see. And this one, I think, is just a standalone. So it's good to have standalones. The next two that I have, my last two, are also standalones. So that will be good after so many series in here that I really didn't realize I had in this stack. Speaking of atmospheric fantasy, the next book that I have is Piranesi by Suzanna Clarke. I had started this one a while ago. I think I only got through like 40 pages or something. But this one is, at least from what I got through, just purely atmospheric. There is literally no plot. It was just atmospheric, and it was very, very slow paced. And so for that moment when I had started reading it before, it just wasn't really what I was in the mood for. So I had set it aside. But I am very excited to get back into this one. And it's not very long. It's, let me see, like 250 pages maybe. So it's not very long. So I should be able to get through this one fairly quickly. But this one is told in kind of journal entry form from what I'm remembering, from the perspective of this one character who is in this just like huge building. Like this entire world is like the interior of a building practically. And he has no idea where he is, why he's there, what the heck is going on, like who he is. I'm pretty sure he's just there in this weird, like huge, humongous building place, and trying to figure out what on earth is going on. Like this building is so huge, there's like an ocean inside the building, and like the tides come in and like take up like whole levels and whole floors and stuff like that. And so it was a very, very strange atmosphere, and the character is just trying to figure out who he is, where he is, and why is he here, kind of thing. And so I am so excited to get back into this one. Like I said, it's pretty short, so it shouldn't take too long. And yeah, I am much more in the mood now for atmospheric books. I've also read several more books since I tried to read this one. I have since then read several books that are just heavily atmospheric with little to no plot, and I've loved them so much. And so I think I'm in a little bit of a better brain space right now to get into this book and really actually enjoy it. And then the final book that I have for this fall-inspired TBR is The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab. I love V.E. Schwab. I have read 4 books by her so far this year, and I have really enjoyed them for the most part, and I've had this one for a while, and I'm looking forward to getting into this one. I'm curious to see how this one will go, because I have heard extremely mixed reviews about this one. Some people saying that it was amazing, one of the best things I've ever read, and then some people saying it was just kind of meh. And so I'm curious to see what I'm going to think of it. But this one follows the main character, Addie, who make some sort of magical bargain or magical deal or something like that, which basically involves her being able to live forever, but everyone that she meets during her lifetime will forget her. And so she won't be remembered by anybody. And so that sounds awful. Honestly, that sounds terrible. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to play out. But basically, she lives forever. And so at least the first portion of the book follows her over like 300 years of living, everyone she's ever met and everyone she's ever known, just forgetting her. And then she comes across a person who can remember her name. And then stuff goes down from there, I'm pretty sure. So it's an intriguing premise. Honestly, that situation sounds terrible. But it's a very intriguing premise. So I'm really, really hoping that I like this. We will see. Like I said, I've heard very mixed reviews about this one, but it's real pretty though. Like, it's real pretty. And it's been sitting on my shelf for a while. So I am really looking forward to getting into this one. So that's everything that is on my fall inspired TBR. These are the types of books that I am very, very much drawn to in the fall. Like I said, academic inspired books, atmospheric fantasy that is a little bit more on the gentler side as opposed to like some really like heavy high fantasy and stuff like that. And so I am really excited about these books. Again, we will see how many of these I get into. These are not the only books that I want to read right now, but these are the ones that very much give me fall vibes and that I'm very excited to read. So we will see how many of these I get through, but I'm really excited about all of these, honestly. Let me know in the comments what types of books you like to read in the fall. Do you like these types of atmospheric fantasy books that I really like? Are you more of a horror thriller person? Are you more of a gothic novel type of person? Let me know. I would love to hear it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.